Hello everyone and welcome to my attempt at a video podcast. It's not the very first one I've done. I did one many years ago. I think when I first opened the shop, I did one with Penny, my daughter. She would have been about 17, 18 at the time. And it was quite funny because she's naturally quite shy. And I'm, quite talkative. Never found the stop button. And the irony was, Penny was an absolute natural on the video, and I was, me. Very awkward and very, I'm not a natural in front of the camera. I guess I'm getting used to it, and as somebody said, a young friend said, how can you talk to it? How can you talk in front of people? And I think it's just when you realise you've got to the age where you can't change what you are. I can only be me, and me isn't very sensible, and me isn't very photogenic or, camera savvy. But I'm going to talk to you as me, and it's going to be like you're with me in the shop, having a chat over a cup of tea. We're not in the shop, we're sitting in my kitchen, my kitchen dining room bit. We're in the dining room section, and this used to be a through room with the sitting room, and the kitchen that way was completely sealed off. But then I had the brainwave of putting the partition back across behind me to separate the kitchen and dining room and knocking down the bit into the kitchen. So we now have this big kitchen diner. We had fab neighbours, Pam and Malcolm, who lived next door, and Malcolm was a joiner, and a very, very good one. And I would come up with an idea and say, Malcolm, if I do this, can you do that? And one time I went round and said, Malcolm, you need to solve an argument. I've just knocked down a wall and Jonathan says the house is going to fall down. Can you tell me it's not going to? I mean, I hadn't knocked down a wall, I'd taken down a partition thing. I said, you've got to solve this. Jonathan and I never argue. It's the first argument we're ever going to have. Help. So that was the partition that had been behind me many years ago. So on this side of the partition, we have kitchen cupboards and a plate rack made out of an old Urkel chair. The rods are spindles from a chair. And on the other side, we have a floor-to-ceiling bookcase, which I just love. We've got lots of floor-to-ceiling bookcases in here. In the house, best part of the house. You could say it's insulation, but yeah, no, really, really nice. So I like this room. It's not normally tidy. Isla and Penny do loads of tidying, and I don't do any, and I'm in constant trouble at home for not helping with the housework. I'd like to want to do the housework, but I kind of want to do Locket Land things more. So yes, I'm afraid I'm on the naughty step most days. But I did tidy behind me so it looks nice. At the moment, my tech savviness, my phone is currently sitting inside a mug, standing on top of a mug to get the height of the angle I want. It's crazy, but it works. So the podcast, I'm going to try and edit a couple of videos together. They're not going to be clever. I don't think we're going to have music. If I can put some commentary on some of the other videos, then that'll be great. But the format's basically going to be me blethering. I'm going to talk to you about my crafts that I'm working on, the Locket Landy bits. And then I have a technical video. I'm going to try and have a how-to in most videos, even if it's to show you how to make an origami paper crane or something. And then I'm going to tell you about the book I'm reading, or books. This week I'm just focusing on one. And then some other life stuff, which today is a fab walk at the beach this afternoon, and some sea swimmers today. I was so impressed by them. So first of all, I'm going to show off my fabulous Betwixt cowl. designed by my lovely friend Elitza Grant. I love it. It's a really satisfying, fairly easy. I'm not a whiz-o-prang crocheter. I can crochet, I can do most things, but it's not my natural strength. I'm a knitter first and foremost, but this was just lovely to crochet. And I know you will have seen my hat, which I'm going to come back to. This cowl is crocheted in beautiful alpaca Aran weight, light Aran, from my friend Katrina's wee flock of fleecy beastlies, dyed auburn yellow, and they're part of my new kit with Elitza's pattern for the cowl and the matching hat. Now, I've made the hat so far in the alternative yarn, which is the Adriaphil New Zealand, and it's beautiful. It's so soft. This was a joy to work with as well. I'd forgotten how nice this yarn is to work with. So I have sets in the shop. The posh alpaca sets are £42 to make the hat and the cowl, and I might be accidentally snuffling this ball to make myself a hat because I can pretend I've got yellow hair again. Because as I say, I'm really enjoying the process of making this design with the shells. I love wearing this hat. I look dreadful in hats, but because of my crochet lack of skill, it's a bit big and I didn't check gauge. So I'm going to make myself another hat in the yellow and use a much smaller hook. So I'm going to go down to a 4mm because I have sloppy gauge with crochet. But it's, yeah, lovely pattern and just a nice to wear. So these kits are available. My hat's got mud on it. £42 for the alpaca and 20. I said 25 in my, no, I said 20, but it was wrong on my website, but I've corrected it. They're £20 for the hat and cowl in the Adriaphil New Zealand. And it's just pretty. I love it. So that's what I've been working on and what I'm planning on doing. I shouldn't be doing it. There's a million other things I should be doing, but it's going to be fun. So yeah, but for me, with a smaller hook. And that's why we really must always check your tension. I used to be, tension gauge, why? That's a waste of time. I don't want to do that. But I'm learning and growing, shall we say. So that's what I'll be working on. Another project, I think I showed you, Nikki, my lovely, not just for Christmas gnome, complete with banner, which is now back to front. I love him. He's made with mohair and silk, floof held double with my hand-dyed Highland yarn. It's yarn from the Peruvian Highlands. It's from the farmers that farm near the mill where a lot of British undyed yarn is spun. They normally can't sell this wool, the farmers, because it's not super soft, super merino, baby soft. So just the wool where I get my undyed yarn from have started spinning it and make this lovely Highland yarn, and I really enjoy it. So that's the yarn you'll find in my skimming kits and in my gnome kits, because it's doing good in terms of becoming yarn for the farmers who wouldn't normally be able to sell it. But this is a lovely design. Look at his beard. He's got a little kangaroo pouch and a delightful hat with a twirly whirly top. So this is Nikki. Sarah Shearer, who writes the patterns, Imagined Landscape patterns, all her gnomes have names that would begin with an N that have a G in front of them. So I always say Guniki or Gunigel or Gunatasha, and Penny and I are like, you're not meant to say the G, Mum. And I'm like, I know you're not meant to say the G, but I like it, it makes me laugh. So Nikki, there are a few kits in stock, and hopefully I'll be able to make some more later in the week. But coming next is, just double checking, Gnatally. So this is Gnatally. My Gnatally is actually going to have plaits, not a beard. And I don't know if you can see with the focus. Can you see there's a sort of leaf there? Maybe you can see better there. Leaf pattern in her hat. And the colours I've dyed for Natalie, because gnomes are not just for Christmas, so they're not Christmas colours. And again with this one, I think we'll be holding it double with the mohair and silk. So I've dyed some lovely spring pink and green. And I think when they're quite strong contrast at the moment, but I think when they're blended with the floof to get that mild effect, I think they're going to look really lovely. So I'm really looking forward to casting on Gnatally. That'll be my next project. Don't forget, we need gnomes in our lives. We need Tomte and Nissa to look after us, especially during the current COVID crisis. So yeah, don't forget the wee folk. Actually, they tie in with my book. There are elves in the book I want to talk to you about. Well, references to elf men and stories. The other project I've managed to get back into the shop, because lots and lots of you have been asking me, when is the rainbow skimming shawl coming back into stock? This is lovely design by Sophia Camerbornia, and I think because of the colours, because of coronavirus and the people needing that lift, that happiness, even if it's just by knitting a rainbow shawl. Rainbows are very popular, and yeah, lots of you have been saying, please can I re-dye them? So I spent a lot of time at the weekend dyeing a lot of yarn. I dyed my 2 club yarns, which will be going out tomorrow, hopefully. 2 different ones, one bird and one flora and fauna. I dyed one of my advent calendar colours for December. I dyed colours for Little Cotton Rabbits kits. I dyed colours for Natalie, and I dyed my rainbow colours. So it's called Almost a Rainbow because there are only 5 colours, and we all know we need 7. So, and they're always different. I don't write dye recipes deliberately. I know that some things work. I know which 2 colours I put together to make this slightly greyed dusky pink. It was a happy accident when I discovered it, but I know how to do it again. But with my other colours, I don't write it down, so every time I make one of these rainbows, it will be different. So each batch is different. And they're now going to be presented in a gift box with Sophia's pattern. So it's a really nice project. One of my friends, Sheila, was saying, well, what about all the ends, Lucy? There don't have to be a lot of ends. With this one, with every colour change except the yellow to the red, which was too stark, personally, I split spliced them. So if you look, you have to look really closely, you can see there is where I spliced. Oh, nice fingernails from my dyeing, sorry. I need a magic pointer. You can see there where I split spliced the colour there. And about here as well, on the green to yellow. I wanted just to knit. I didn't want to have to think, oh, can I finish this row, or will I run out of yarn? So I didn't. I just knitted, and when the colour needed changing, it changed. Because that's what I prefer to do. I want to enjoy the process rather than agonise over finessing the end. So the only colour change that I actually had to really work on sewing in the ends was the yellow to red, because when I split spliced that, it looked horrible. It was really obvious. So yeah, you've got your cast on end of the first 2 colours. You've got your, yeah, and then you've pretty much got your last colours and the lace. Not many ends at all. And it is just a nice, easy, mindful or TV watching project. And even the lace, once you work out how to do it, any lace edging, you have to get your head into the game. And the lace is nice and easy too. Just there's quite a lot of it. It does go on quite a long time, but I love this project. And I know you guys do too. So the next thing I want to show to you, I've realised I haven't brought over here, so excuse me, I'm going to go and get my bag, which I think is over there. 1 second. If I was really clever, I would know how to properly cut and splice my videos, but I don't. So I know I've shown you this before, except it's not there. 1 second, I'm gonna go and come back again. Oops. Rubbish. No, it's not gonna come to me. I wanted to show you the beautiful Lictor mitten that Penny's knitted for me as a shop sample in turquoise red and cream, but it's gone. So instead, I'm going to show you the one I've been working on, which is in these three colours, which, if you look, there's lovely flecks of pink in that green. They make me think of the thrift flower that you see growing on cliffs or sand dunes. And bizarre, because I'm not a pink person, I don't do pink. I'm yellow girl, but pink does seem to be making me happy at the moment. It has been for the last year or so, which is kind of worrying. I don't think I'm going to suddenly start wearing a lot of it, but it has its place in life, I guess. The only colour I'm still not friends with is purple. I can dye a lot of purple, people like purple, but it's not a colour that I enjoy. So this is my mitten, and I want to show you this for various reasons. One is people say to me, I can't do colour work, my colour work always looks lumpy and horrible, I can't get it to look nice, and like everybody else says, my colour work is lumpy and bumpy. That's what colour work can be like. I know my friend Jackie, who I know a lot of you know, Jackie Walker, she can knit colour work and it is just perfect from the start. I remember when she was knitting her jumper in the knit along we had last year, and it just looked like it had been blocked. It was perfect. Mine was puckered and horrible, but all you need to do is block it. And I blocked Penny's glove on a bit of cardboard that I cut into a rough Icelandic mitten, Scandinavian mitten shape with the point, and stuck in a plastic bag so that obviously cardboard and wet wool don't go well together. But yeah, colour work, you just need to take your time, believe you can do it. This is the main thing I try and get across to people. There's nothing we can't do. If you can read the instructions and you really want to do it, you can do it. With knitting and crochet, it's all doable. It's more how much you want to do it that affects your ability. So a lot of people, when they come into the shop, say, oh, I can't knit. No, I could never knit that. And I'll actually start chatting to them, and it will turn out, because they've come in with the friend who's a mad, keen crafter, and they'll say, oh no, I could never do that. And I chat to them and I say, but do you actually want to do it? And they'll say, nah, not really, can't be bothered. And I said, well, that's the thing. You can do it, you could do it, it's not what you want to do. So what I've done at the end of the video, what I've got coming up in this, is a little pre-recorded video that I did. I'd made a mistake in my colour work, and I was knitting late last night, watching telly, and I had across the thumb, oopsie, you can't see, but there's the thumb, where has it gone? Yeah, across the thumb gusset here, held onto this fetching bit of red yarn. Above here, I'd done those stitches to the end, I'd done them wrong. I'd knitted the pattern repeat. what I could have done was unpicked. I didn't realise until I got to the last needle. So I would have had to unpick 3 needles to get back to do it again. And I couldn't be bothered. So instead, I've done you a little video to show you what I did instead. And it saved me a load of time. I just fixed it from where I was and then carried on knitting. You may already know this. It may be, you know, teaching my grandmother how to suck eggs, but if not, if it's useful, I've done it for you there. And I think I've made another mistake on this, but don't tell Penny because she started it for me. So at the end of the video, there's a little Fair Isle tutorial, and there'll probably be really skilled colourwork knitters going, that's not how you do it, Lucy. But it worked, and I hope it will be useful for you too. Noises in the background. Mr. Locket's just come in. Oh, Mr. Locket's running away. And he's making the door creak again. So that's my sort of knitting shop section over and done with. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about, well, I want to talk to you about my mug. This is my incredibly beautiful mug that I treated myself to for Christmas. And look, decorated on the inside as well. And this is where I have to confess, it doesn't contain tea at the moment. It's got wine in it. Jonathan said to me, so you're going to have a glass of wine? And I said, well, let me do my video first. I'll do my video first. Maybe I'll have a cup of tea. And the next thing I know is he's poured me some wine. In one of, this is another one thing I want to show you. These are the lovely Rustic hand-built cups that Isla, my daughter, has made for us. Oh, whoopsie, there goes some wine. Whoop. Always comes to my mind when, because I was studied ancient history, and the ancient Greek word for pouring a libation to the gods, so pouring some wine on the ground, you were meant to pour a little drop, is spondeo, and that was a word that always appealed to me. So, yep, spondeo. There we go. But these are the lovely little cups that Isla has hand built for us. We have all different textures, and I don't know if you can see, it's deliberately not perfect. You can see the build marks. She hasn't thrown it on her wheel. She's coil built them, and we have a whole collection which are our wine glasses, and I love them. The only problem is she won't sign them. I need to work on her to do that. But anyway, moving back to my lovely mug. This is my mug from Karen at Adrift Pottery. Karen, if you watch this, I've got a tip for you. Watch as I drink this. If Karen turned her writing the other way, I'd be able to advertise her better. So I'm going to have to drink left-handed. Did you see that? Adrift Pottery, Pembs, Wales 2020. There's just something so... I can't describe why I love this mug so much. Again, this has been hand built. It hasn't been thrown on the wheel. You can tell by the shape it's not a perfect circle on the top. I think I love it for that. I love the way you can see her potter's marks where she's had the mug to dip it in the glaze, but then uses these maker's marks as a way of, this is the rock upon which the wren is standing. So, hang on, it's going to transfer. I'm imagining, because I've done some pottery myself, not much, but when you want to glaze a pot, you have to have a good hold, and you have to submerge it, more wine just went, and then get it out. So those fingerprints, they show it's handmade. These are Karen's fingerprints. That makes it even more special as far as I'm concerned. So I was trying to work out why I love it so much, what it is about this cup, and I think it's the the colour, it looks like it's come from outside, and that's a really strange thing to say. It looks like it's sort of 1950s or something to me. I can imagine, I can't describe it, but then it occurred to me, why do I love it so much? And I'm just going to stand up because again I didn't prepare properly. I'm going to just get you one of my treasures. One second. Notice the similarity, the brown. This is a tile that my granny used to have next to her oven, and it says, and it's a bit of, it's Torquay ware, I think. I can't quite read what it says on the bottom. It's a slipware, and although this is sgraffito, where I think where Karen has carved the leaves, actually scrape them in through the underglaze to show the clay underneath. This is slipware where it's been painted on top, and it says, "O list to me, ye ladies fair, and when you wish to curl your hair, for the safety of this domicile, pray place your lamps upon this tile." And that just always appealed to me as a young child, the quaint language, and there's just something about it. So this has been one of my treasures that I got from my granny, and although it's probably has no monetary value whatsoever, it is one of my most prized possessions. So I think although they're different, I think there's something between these two that links and makes a happy connection in my head. Yeah, I'm managing to talk quite well on this, aren't I? Oh, there was a bit of an E. So, moving on. My cheeks are red, not from the sip of wine I've had, but because I'm wearing a cowl inside and the heating's on full blast and the fire is lit as well, because we've all been freezing. But my book, this was recommended to me by my friend Edwina. It's The Seal Woman's Gift, and it's a debut novel, adult novel by Sally Magnuson. It's brilliant. I'm absolutely loving it. And I love, my favourite kind of books are backwards forwards ones, you know, where you have a character in the modern day goes somewhere or is investigating something, and strands of her mother's or her grandmother's or her great grandmother's lives come in. So you're going from the present day back to the 1950s or 1905 or whatever. So I do like that kind of historical novel. I don't tend to enjoy these days historical novels that are about a historical event on their own, and I think that's because I spent so much time at university studying history, and it's a bit too much like work, even though it's a long time since I did anything like that. My brain couldn't do it now. This book wouldn't normally appeal to me in the sense that it's based on a very real, shocking event in 1627 when pirates raided Icelandic islands and captured 400 Icelanders and sold them into slavery in Algiers. So 1627, that's not within my normal idea of easy reading period, but this book is fantastic. It's about, and I think I'm pronouncing this right, Usta, one of the people who was kidnapped. She was the pastor's wife, and she and the pastor and her 3 children, well 2 children, because she gives birth to a third one on the boat. They're kidnapped and sold into slavery, and it's her story and her recollections, and it's just so good. It's written in a way that's very accessible. It's not a dry historical type of novel. She could be one of us. I think that's obviously it's a very clever way of doing it, that it's written in such an immediate way that it could be any woman with children facing this incredible hardship, unimaginable situation. It's interesting because at the beginning it's about the Icelandic island they live on, it's about the wildlife and the weather, and that makes it sound boring. It's not. It very quickly gets exciting. But it's about their travels, and it's Usta herself is very interested in the Icelandic sagas, but particularly in the Icelandic folklore and elven tales, elven hidden folk, which obviously doesn't go well with her marriage to a pastor, but he's got a twinkle, and he loves her so much that he tolerates it. So there are links to those stories. When she arrives in Algiers and becomes part of as a slave in a household, you start picking up the stories that they're telling, the myths and the legends, and so it's referencing to the cultural differences, the religious differences, and the expectations of what they should do now that they're in Algiers. The references to Scheherazade and the 1001 Nights, and there's a link to that to Usta's story. It's incredibly good. I'm loving it. I'm going to be very, very sad when it finishes. So I do, if you like, I don't know what you like. If you like sort of historical-ish, but I don't know, it's uplifting, moving and witty. The Seal Woman's Gift speaks across centuries and oceans about love, loss, resilience and redemption. Yeah, 100%, 10 out of 10, top marks, love it. Okay, do you get the message? Good book, really, really good book. Yeah, I recommend it. So I'm going to finish this section here. The next bit you're going to see is a video of me showing you how to do the Lichter fix, the colourwork fix, without having to unpick a whole round even. I then had to pop to the shop to pick some things up, and because the shop's only half a mile from the beach, Isla and I took the dogs down to the beach. There's also been some problems because the dogs have been finding horrible things to eat on the fields, and it's been upsetting their tummies, so we needed to walk them and exercise them somewhere where they weren't going to do anything horrible. So it's the first time I've been to the sea because of lockdown. It's the first time I've been for ages, and the sea was incredible. The waves were crashing. As we drove towards the sea, you could see the spray coming up the piers and up the harbour wall, crashing really high. So I've done you a video of the waves, and then just as we were leaving, I spotted a lady getting undressed, ready to go swimming. Sorry, low battery. Spotted a lady getting undressed, ready to go swimming without a wetsuit. And I was astounded, partly because of the cold, but I know that lots of people are swimming in the sea in these temperatures. But it was the fact that she was going into such a turbulent sea on her own. So I got chatting to her, and there's a little video of her. She absolutely amazed me. She got in and she swam the width of the harbour and back. I waited and watched against these waves, and it was incredible. An old lady came up to me and said, "Do you know that woman?" And I said, no, I've just been chatting to her. She said, "I'm so worried, I can't leave, I can't see her, I can't watch. What on earth is she doing?" And so I explained that I'd been chatting to her, and I knew she was a sea swimmer of 4 years experience, and she knew what she was doing. So I had to spend about sort of 10 minutes reassuring this elderly lady and her husband that this person I'd never met before was safe and did know what she was doing. And then I got chatting to some other sea swimmers, and in the end I saw Marie come back in and had a chat with her again, and just said how blown away I'd been by her strength and skill to swim in the turbulence of the waves. Yeah, it was very inspiring. So there's a little clip of her at the end. I don't have the tech savvy to show you, to overspeak over the video or to write words on it yet. I'm going to have to do some homework. So this is just my explanation of what those last few videos are about. So I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think of my podcast. And maybe we'll wear a big thick jumper next time. Mistake with my colour work. I'm on to the next round here. This is my live yarn, and I realised that the stitches on this needle were all faulty. So what I've done, I don't like unpicking. Anyone that knows me knows I hate unpicking. I don't want to go all the way back and then correct that row. So all I've done is I've unpicked the naughty stitches, and they're just on one needle, and I've got the yarn that had been used just hanging behind. So now I'm going to correct it whilst leaving the active yarn for the current row that I should be on is there. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to try and maintain the yarn dominance, which for me at the moment is the oatmeal at the top, then the green and the pink at the bottom. So my first stitch should have been a pink. So I'm going to pick that one up. See, pick that up, and then it should be green, and then it should have been 2 of the oatmeal. So I'm going to make sure that comes over the top of the other 2, and then another pink. So bring that from underneath. So basically I'm just re-knitting those faulty stitches with the leftover yarn from unpicking them. So it's going to get a bit tight as the length of yarn left gets shorter. So this green's shorter than the cream at the moment. Pink's fine because it wasn't used in the current round. So it's just carrying on. Don't bring that up from, oopsie, tangled. Up from underneath, and then 2 of the oatmeal, and then keeping the green travelling under the oatmeal, just trying to keep the yarn dominance right. No, went wrong there, backwards again. Should have gone green, oatmeal, green. I can fix that. I was trying to do 2 things at once, talk to you guys and correct this without looking at the pattern. Okay, and then, is that right? No, she still did it wrong. Back again. I'm gonna have to crop this bit out. My lovely assistant Tom is standing here filming for me, but has just told me that he feels very dizzy standing for any length of time. So I'm trying to speed this up. Green. Okay. He's wobbling. Okay, so we're going to go. It's getting tight now, but it's still preferable to having to re-knit the whole round. Well, unpick and then re-knit the whole round. Oh, there we go. This is why I'm glad that the pink isn't attached, because it's not getting tight. And cream. cream and green, getting a bit fiddly, and pink. So there you go, I've corrected my colour work, it now all lines up properly. So now I'm going to abandon that and go back and finish knitting the row that I was actually on. It means it's a bit tight and pickly, but once I block that, it will all work out fine. And that meant I didn't have to unpick all those stitches and those ones and knit them all again. That's my fix as you go. Okay, thank you. Hello, so here's a red-nosed version of me modelling my new hat, slightly better than I showed you, on the beach, crashing waves. Oopsie, look at those. The sea is wild. So yeah, I've got modelling my new hat, a nice matching scarf and coordinating dog lead. Just to show you how, I can't quite show you how big the waves are, but look at that one come in. Look at those waves. Not doing very much at the moment. Watch this new one come in. Don't normally see it, it's wild. Oops. Quite amazing. Of course, I'm never going to get the photo of the really big waves, the ones I've been watching. When I try and video it, they're not going to come in.